Hey guys, welcome to my Ghost of Tsushima review. This will be spoiler free, of course, so don't expect any story spoilers or anything like that. So Ghost of Tsushima is made by Sucker Punch, the team behind Infamous. They had a previous game, Infamous Second Son and Infamous First Light on PlayStation 4, and this is their next game. So Ghost of Tsushima, you play as Jin Sakai, so he's the main protagonist. Jin is a samurai warrior, and he was trained by its uncle Shimura. So the game takes place in a big battle, and your uncle is captured by Kotu Khan, and Kotu Khan is the leader of the Mongols, so like the big empire the Mongols are. The Mongols are the bad guys. They've come over to Tsushima, they've taken over the island, and the whole game's sort of about the samurais taking back the island of Tsushima, their home. So with your uncle being captured, you obviously go around, Kotu Khan's obviously a big tough guy, so you got to go get stronger, learn new abilities, recruit new friends to come help you along the way. And that's sort of like the gist of the story really, so I won't go into any more detail of that. So to start off with the gameplay, the gameplay is very similar to Assassin's Creed, so the combat is very fun, very fluent. So obviously you have your katana sword, you can customise your sword to how it looks differently, you can upgrade your sword, but you can't actually get any other weapons from other than the katana, because your katana belongs to your dad. So that's sort of like his main weapon, that his life sort of depends on that sort of weapon, if you know what I mean. You also have like a secondary weapon as well, which is like a hidden blade type weapon, which is used for assassinations in like your stealth mode, but I'll get onto that later. You also have a bow and arrow, which you unlock later on. You have different throwables, so you can have like a smoke bomb, you can have like these little what are they called, they're like them sort of wishing charms that you sort of chuck, and that's like for instance, like you're chucking a rock, that's sort of what you use to distract enemies and that. And in the skill tree you can also unlock like this is how you unlock the throwables, so you can't just go up and like have all these things all together. So this is all involved in the skill tree, which is really cool. Just gives you different play styles as further you get through the game, so you can unlock these. So moving on with the gameplay, it's obviously very fluid, so the combat, so you can like jump in like while fighting and that, and do different attacks like that. So it's not like For Honor, if you've played For Honor, which is quite it's quite grounded. There's not a lot of mobility and such. So you also have stances as well. So stances change combat scenarios. So if you're fighting just regular enemies, you'll be in like the standard stance, and then I think it's like the wind stance, where you can fight enemies that like got shields. So if you have your sword, so your sword will be more above your head, and then if you do like a strong attack, which is on the triangle button, the strong attack, a couple of them will break the shield, sort of like his block, and then you can like attack and try to finish them off. So if you've got your heavy attack, and then you've got your so you've got your square button, which is like your light attack, which is obviously quite handy, obviously. Then as you have circle, which is evade, so you can evade like spear charges and stuff. And then as obviously when you unlock different skills, you can also get a roll. And yeah, so when you actually unlock even more skills, you get different attacks, so combos as such, should we say. So similar to like Batman Arkham Asylum, so you have different, so you could do like a double tap on the square and then do a heavy attack with the triangle button, and you'll do like a different sort of attack before you had the skill, you wouldn't do that attack. So that's really cool. So the skill tree is actually it's definitely an interesting one, because obviously if you play games like Witcher and that, it's all like you get bonuses, so you get like a 4% extra damage with your attack. But with this skill tree, you're actually getting abilities that influence your style of play in the game, which is really cool, and I really enjoyed that. So moving on to the armor. So the armor is really cool. It's obviously all like Japanese sort of themed, samurai themed. So you get 3 options. So you have a hat you can wear, or you can wear, obviously like I'm wearing now, you can get like bandanas and stuff. Then you can get like straw hats, actual warrior helmets, and that's really cool. And then you get masks. So you actually sort of customize. It's not customizing your face, but you can sort of hide your face more with the mask, which is always really cool, especially if you like in like ghost mode and that. And then you also get obviously your armor suit, so that covers your gauntlets, your chest, and your leg pieces. So it's like all in one. You can use dyes to change the color of your armor, and the armor also comes with different perks. So just for one, for instance, it could be your attacks increased by 30%. Moving out of cover, you might have like a 10% chance of being less chance of being seen and stuff. But the perks are always pretty solid, and like they're not like small little upgrades. And then of course on top of that, you have 5 levels of upgrades to your armor. So this will be by collecting different pieces of like iron or linen. And once you've collected these, you take them to a like a blacksmith for your armor, and then you can customize. So you upgrade your stats on the armor, so you can have like increased damage taken. But then also some armor you have appearance changes. So when you upgrade the armor, you might get more gold around the neck, so it looks like it's more stronger, or bigger blocks, say, like on the arm. So if you get hit on the arm, it's like less damage taken and stuff like that. It's really cool, and it's simple, should we say. It's not like a in-depth sort of like RPG type armor system. I'd compare it to something like Horizon. So it's there, so it's an RPG element that's there, but it's not like massively in depth. But it's something that's really cool, and honestly enhances the experience of the game for me. So moving on to missions and side missions. So you have these like side missions called Tales of Tsushima. So these are when you're playing them, they feel like actual main missions. So I've done a couple really where you meet these new characters, and they obviously got these situations you go help them with. But it's not just like the one mission and you're done. There'll be like a second mission, a third mission, a fourth mission, and you obviously get to learn more about these characters. And then obviously you get to learn about even more characters that you could be hunting or doing whatever with them in the mission. And it's obviously just a great addition on top of the actual main missions. You actually get so lost in the world because you actually think these side missions are main missions, and they're not. So they're really cool. They're a really nice addition. And then you have like other activities that are like they're like collectibles in a way, but then they're not. So you have like, you might have a fox or a bird fly over and sort of grab your attention, and you follow them over, and they'll take you to these water pools. So these are like pools you go rest in. So once you go over to them, you usually go to like the side, you click on the button, you go to rest, and then you have like, it's like you sort of meditate, you sort of think of what's happened so far in the game since like the last water pool, for instance, or something that's happened in the story. So Jin will sort of overthink that, and you'll also get, and then from there you'll get a health upgrade. So it slightly just increases, just very slightly increases the health bar. Obviously once you've done all of these, it'll be a massive upgrade to your health, and this is a nice addition really. On top of that, you do have collectibles you can go find. Some collectibles are sort of related to the lore of the world. Some are related to actual like samurai lore, so you actually get to learn in like what actually happens with samurais in real life and what they sort of did. I've actually seen like collectibles like what sort of food they had, and it's really interesting actually. It's really cool, like history sort of lessons, should we call it, within the game that you can find. And I actually do believe, so if you actually are hunting for trophies and want to get the platinum, I do believe you don't have to get all the collectibles, which is really nice because there are a ton, over 200 odd. So that's a nice touch by Sucker Punch. But yeah, I quite enjoy getting these collectibles. You can get perks in the skill tree again that to make it easier. So I've got one at the moment where if I'm near a collectible, my controller vibrates, and then it'll vibrate even more and more once you get closer. So that's a nice little touch. And yeah, that's sort of it with the collectibles and like the side missions. I've not done all the side missions, so there's obviously different things I'll come across. So I've not actually like undiscovered the whole map. It was obviously like similar to Assassin's Creed again. You got these big forts you can take down. There might be like blockages on bridges that you have to go clear out just to clear that bridge away. That's something that I've asked you. You'll have little scenarios if you're just wandering around the world where you got to go help a hostage that's sort of like in the middle of the road with loads of Mongols surrounding her. And there's actually scenarios where if you go to help a hostage, that you can actually get the hostage killed if you're not quick enough, or if you sort of alerted everyone and you can't get to like the big boss quick enough in that area. And obviously they'll kill the hostage, and it's not a mission fail. It's just like you're not exactly completed that sort of area, should we call it. So moving on. So yeah, just a little touch that I thought was really cool. So with the AI. If you're doing a mission with like AI following you, or you got to follow an AI, they respond to how you move. So if I'm walking, they'll be walking. If I'm running, they will run as well. So you can speed that process up of going to somewhere. And even better, that I saw that when you actually call your horse out, they'll get their horse as well. So if it's like quite a long way, I can just go get my horse, and then they'll get their horse as well. So I'm not going to rush ahead and wait for them. So I think that's really cool, because a lot of games don't actually do that. Normally you just have to follow the AI, and it's a bit of a drag. It takes a while for them to get to where they're actually going. But obviously in this game, it speeds up that process, because it's such a big world, such a long game. It just helps quicken that sort of transition, really. So obviously the world is absolutely beautiful, very bright and vibrant colours. So it reminded me a lot of The Witness, the puzzle game, them sort of colours. You have all like the grass, the trees all blowing in the wind, and I think it's very impressive especially running on the PlayStation 4 Pro, that they could have like so many trees in one instance of all swaying around, as well as the grass and the flowers all swaying in the same direction. So obviously that's it's quite a hard sort of thing to accomplish, because I know there's so many games where for instance, just looking down there, obviously you've got the grass coming up, but a lot of games it'll be like textured in, so it won't actually be loads of grass. It might be a section of grass, and then it'll be like textured into like the floor. And they didn't do that in this game, which is really cool. Obviously it has limited them in certain scenarios, so maybe the actual textures of certain areas of the ground, or like the gravel, may not be as clear as it could be in like The Last of Us Part 2, for instance. But I mean, that's not like a thing that I don't think they could have really changed if they wanted to have the world how it is. And also I want to touch on the sort of depth of field, should we call it, or the field of view. So if I'm at a mountain, I can see for absolute miles on. It's great. You can see so many different things. You can obviously see like smoke coming up from certain areas, which there's like an activity you can go do there. It's such a great looking world, it really is. I definitely think it's one of the best looking PlayStation 4 games I've played this generation. Yeah, it's definitely a great game just to send the PlayStation 4 off with, really, before the PS5. And I'd definitely like to see obviously I think it'd be backwards compatibility, so it'd be definitely interesting to see what the PS5 can bring. Well, obviously the ray tracing probably will be into the game. I'm sure they'll probably enhance the they'll enhance the texture slightly, so that just improve that sort of area of the game. And yeah, apart from that, really, I can't complain. The world, I think it's great, and it's definitely something you want to go experience. And yeah, the final bit about the world that I've got to touch on is the so it's like the wing compass, we call it. So very similar to a lot of open world games. You set a waypoint on the map, and it'll give you you'll have a little mini map, and it'll tell you sort of the path to take. Or you might have a actual waypoint in the world itself, hovers above or on the ground. But in this game, when you set a waypoint, the wind directs you in the way to go. So the wind is your compass. I think that's great, because it's they're just using the world to be able to guide you to places, rather than using these made up lines that aren't actually in the game, but it's there for the player to see. I think that's fantastic. I definitely think it's a new open world feature that we'll see in a lot more games, because they're actually being able to use the world to be able to guide you, rather than using these lines and stuff. I definitely think it's something that will take on with other open world games, and I think it's really cool, sort of like mechanic that they've been able to put into this game to give it that more authentic feel. Because obviously, back in the 13th century, which the game is set, obviously you don't have like, well, you sort of have maps, but you don't have like these detailed maps, should we call them, that you can just quickly navigate where you got to go, and it'll give you the quickest way and whatever. Like a GPS, should we call it. So that's really cool. I really enjoyed that feature, and it works really well, so that's great. So moving on to like the sort of like negative sides and a couple of bugs that I've noticed during my playtime. So the first negative, I would say, that sort of dampens it doesn't dampen the experience, but it's like they could have done it better. So that's the stealth part of the game. So I could be completely wrong and say that the bad bit about the stealth is part of the lore, because samurais, when they go into combat, they want to face enemies head on. And obviously Jin was taught this as a kid, that you always face your enemies head on. And that's, so you actually have a standoff mode. So when you go into standoff mode, you sort of wield your sword ready in like your sleeve. And then when the enemy's about to strike, you press triangle, and then you strike first, and it instantly kills them. And you can do that to another enemy and to another enemy in like a stride. And that's obviously a really great feature. That's really enjoyable. Like, it's like duels, like cowboy duels, but with swords. So it's really cool. But with the stealth, so obviously Jin's has not been taught how to use stealth or how to be a stealthy type of character. Even though you have the ghost skill tree, so you can obviously improve your stealth, but like you always have to go behind the enemy to assassinate them. So if I'm hiding behind like a rock, I can't just jump out, assassinate someone, and then drag them behind the rock. So it's quite hard to sort of be stealthy in a lot of situations, even though there's certain missions we have to be stealthy. And don't get me wrong, it's easily done. Obviously the world, they obviously build that part of the world to have stealth in it, so if you can hide in like long grass, you can go under like bridges, you can crawl under houses and stuff. Obviously houses have got loads of different compartments, so you can like slip in through little doorways and like hatches and stuff like that. But yeah, the stealth is quite basic. It doesn't damage the experience at all, but it's definitely something, if it's not related to the lore, it's definitely something they could look at if they make a second game, which I'm sure they would, and I'm sure it'd be great the second time round. But yeah, a lot of time I didn't use stealth. I just went in and just went full out in combat, and it's just enjoyable doing it that way for me personally. So a couple of bugs that I found was, obviously they weren't major, it's just like polishing. They've not fully polished certain things. So with armour, if I had this armour and it had sort of like a cape behind me, the bow and arrow, or like the bow would disappear off my back. There was like an audio problem as well with water. So there's like streams with like waterfalls, and then there was like no audio of the water crashing down. That was strange. And also when I was swimming, it was like, I don't think this was a feature, because when I'm swimming, it's like the audio goes like you've got water in your ears, and I think that's quite strange for a third person game. Maybe first person I'd understand it, but yeah, it sounded really weird. And it also sounded quite strange when you had like a waterfall. So this was a much bigger waterfall, not the smaller ones with no audio, but the bigger ones that are a bit more distant, you could sort of hear, but it was like it was a really weird faint noise. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, maybe it's good, maybe it's like not. It's a very strange audio with that, but yeah, it's I can't really complain about them. They're just small things that they could quite easily patch in, and yeah, that doesn't really hamper the experience. Also, you got like the occasional rock or on the top of a roof, like your feet sinking or your hands might go into the actual rock and stuff. They're just obviously, again, just a bit more polish on those, and it wouldn't really matter, but it didn't affect my experience whatsoever. I've not found any game breaking bugs, we say, that ruin anything. But But yeah, with open world games, you have to kind of expect that sort of thing, and obviously it didn't really bother my experience at all. But just to touch on the rest of the audio, it's actually great. The soundtrack's great. There's actually a really good part where you can actually sort of find, if you were wearing headphones, you can sort of work out where enemies are around you. So if you're fighting a certain enemy and one's coming up behind to attack you, you can sort of hear them come behind. And that's really cool, because a lot of games struggle with audio, 3D audio like that. It actually gives you sort of a sense of what to come on the PS5 as the 3D audio. And I also must touch on the respawns are very, very quick, hardly any load times in that. Again, that's something that obviously it's like a hint to what we can expect on the PS5, and also it's great because you just get straight back into the action, you're not losing any time, and I thought that was really cool. But apart from that, I'd definitely give the game an 8 out of 10, I'd say. I thought it was a solid story, solid gameplay. The world was fantastic, very interesting, very great to explore. I didn't give it like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Just because, like, I don't know really. It had all these cool features, but it didn't exactly, like, the world looked great, but the game didn't exactly blow me away. Like, it didn't have all these incredible new features. It was sort of just a solid open world exclusive game for PlayStation, really. And we've not really had that in a samurai game. So it's great just to finally have like a samurai open world game that you can come back to. I'm not sure if they're going to add any DLC or anything like that. Maybe a new game plus and a free update. But yeah, it's definitely a game I would definitely recommend trying out. Maybe you could wait for the PS5 backwards compatibility version if you want to experience it a bit more enhanced. But visually, it works fine on the PS4 Pro. I definitely recommend you trying it out and just giving it a go. I found that it was about a 50-hour campaign, so maybe that would put you off the game, maybe. That's just without doing the whole, like, completing 100% of the game. But yeah, if you want to put that much time into, like, a solid single-player game, I definitely recommend it. It's worth it. And that's pretty much it, really. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.